The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on another episode of Bucklebomb Entertainment Live. With me tonight, special guest. Usually you would see him on Thursdays. Tonight he's with us on Wednesday, pre-Dynamite edition. Welcome from Are You Elite? Gary, how you doing?
Pretty well. Definitely better than ever. Not 100% yet. I feel like I'm 95% better. Feels good to be COVID-free.
Yes.
But good gosh, let me tell you, that was an experience like no other. But it's good to be back.
Yes, we are. We're definitely glad to have you. We got a wide variety of topics today. The thing we're going to touch on first is this crazy Jack Evans story. For those that don't know, Jack Evans tweeted in the early morning hours. I want to say in the 2 or 3 a.m. hours. He was on Twitter. Let me find the exact tweet. It says, "This will sound like a fake message, but it's not. I'm currently being extorted by 2 police officers from the Del Valle Police Department in Mexico City. In the last 4 days, he's had to pay around 7,000 pesos, which is equivalent to $350 in American money, not paying more." Followed it up pretty much immediately, saying if he gets arrested on drug charges in the next little bit, he's putting out there now that it was planted by the Del Valle Police Department. You know, it's one of the immediate stories I wake up to when I'm at work or getting ready for work at 2:30 Eastern time, roughly. Man, that's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely very unfortunate for Jack Evans, to say the least. And I mean, hopefully he can get out of that runt.
Yeah.
It's a very, very unfortunate event for him. Definitely our thoughts go out to Jack. I mean,
Yeah,
that's some scary stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that part of town. I mean, you know, we hear the stories, you know, cartel runs, you know, certain parts of the government. There's reports and stories about police officers all the time. And I guess there's one example. Brian's sending his thoughts, saying you look well.
Yes, Brian. I look well. I feel well. It's just brain fog is making me out of sorts. So that's why I do apologize to everyone if I stumble across my words. I do apologize.
Tim and Caleb also saying hi. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining us. Caleb saying about Jack Evans, hopes he can come to AEW soon. He's been there before. He's been there for a while. Probably now with the new COVID strain, he might be stuck in Mexico for a little bit longer, especially now we're trying to clear this up. He did post an update a couple hours ago, about 4 hours ago, saying he filed an official complaint. He's got all his witnesses together. There is a lot of them, and is just laying low. Nothing else to share for the moment. So hopefully he gets all that straightened out. I think he's a phenomenal athlete. Wish he got a better run in AEW, him and Helico.
I totally agree, Sarah. Unfortunately, like TH2, when they came in, I mean, I was excited. I mean, their runs in Lucha Underground was phenomenal. But unfortunately, here they are now, and they're a little underutilized. I mean, perfect example, you know, Evans just got his head shaved. So,
Yeah.
Which, quick thing here, I think we're going to finally see the split of HFO. Thank gosh, because Matt Hardy is doing a change of character. So,
Yeah.
Much needed.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Matt Hardy, I don't know if he tweeted it or if it was on his Twitch stream, saying that he's seeing a trend where fans seem to react better to authentic characters, you know, the real them. So he's no longer Big Money Matt. He's just going to be straight up Matt Hardy.
I totally love it. Thank gosh. Because Big Money Matt Hardy was interesting when it came, into our television screens. And after a while, I mean, let's just say if Orlando was live here right now, he would be picking on that botch that he had with Orange Cassidy a couple rampages ago. So
the big wrestling event over the weekend, of course, we had NXT War Games. This is the first War Games, I believe, the first NXT pay-per-view since the new 2.0 version. I gotta say, it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. I don't know if you had a chance to watch or not.
I was going to watch the pay-per-view at first, and then I realized, if I'm not medically cleared with a doctor's note, technically I shouldn't be going to my friends that wanted me to watch it with him. But obviously, I did see the results. Of course, I watched highlights, to save some time. I'm going to say this right off the bat. The pay-per-view, to me, I feel, from what I read and saw, it lived up to the hype. I really, really love the fact that NXT 2.0's team for War Games won. It's pushing that young talent. And, it's funny because I saw a lot of people become negative on it where they wanted the originals win. I'm like, yeah, but isn't the whole concept of NXT 2.0 to develop new stars? So I think this was the best decision they could have done. The winners of the women's War Games match, I totally disagree with. I feel Toxic Attraction should have won. Because right now Mandy Rose is having a run of a lifetime right now. So I disagree with two face winners for the War Games match. In my opinion, there should be one heel winner and one face winner.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's gonna fuel and further the rivalry between Cora Jade and Mandy Rose, which seems to be going well. And now you got Raquel Gonzalez kind of get involved. Cora and Raquel feuding for that number one contender spot.
So I don't mean to sound like a negative Nancy on Cora Jade. I think she's a good talent so far, but there's one problem that I have. Get rid of the skateboard. To me, it's a cheap rip-off of Darby Allin. I'm sorry. If they, I mean, maybe this is her own gimmick. I have no idea. I gotta follow more of Cora Jade to understand. Maybe she had a skateboard in her indie days, but if it's just because she wanted to have the skateboard, delete that. Like, no. But other than that, yeah, I mean, she was a bright star in that match. I totally agree. To me, she was actually one of my favorites going into that match because of how well she did.
Yeah. And she's really young too. She's 20 or 21. I can't remember exactly. I think she's 20. They said that during the match. She did do a few matches in AEW. She was known as Elena Black. She carried that mini coffin to the ring. So that was her gimmick there in AEW, and when she was on the Indies, kind of playing like a goth character. So seeing her as a skateboarding, wearing the bright colors, it's quite the contrast.
It's different, and I did not know she was in AEW. And I still think she needs to get rid of the skateboard, regardless. But no. Like I said, I mean, minus the whole thing that I feel with that. Like I said, great talent, and it really helps that she was with Io Shirai in the match, and Io is one of my favorites in NXT. So I think that's great. The tag team match with O'Reilly and I can't think of the other guy. My apologies.
Von something. I can't remember.
Von Wagner or something like that.
Yes, Von Wagner. That's it.
And I didn't care for that match that much. Let's see, what else was there?
I mean, it served its purpose. Kyle O'Reilly losing, then setting up that feud between them two for NXT last night with Von Wagner destroying Kyle O'Reilly with the cage. Probably let me know they were booing the heck out of him, out of the booking for that. But
I think that was excellent if you think about it, because it did two things. It made Von Wagner a credible heel going forward. Now people are going to hate him, and I think that's great. As for O'Reilly, it kind of made sense if you think about it. Hey, you shut the door on me, now another door opens. So,
yep.
And it's pretty crystal clear where Kyle's going to be going soon. But, um, you know, but I can't get behind Von Wagner at the moment. So.
Then, of course, we had the hair versus hair match, Duke Hudson versus Cameron Grimes.
I absolutely hated that. I feel, it was very cheap in my opinion. Um, and if Sean Bally was on here right now, he would tell you I love Cameron Grimes. I mean, to the moon. I love the guy. Unfortunately, this match was the weakest that he's been in NXT, in my opinion. Um, I mean, I can't fully shit on the match because, again, me being biased with Cameron Grimes, but it was okay for what it was. I
Yeah.
didn't care for the whole gimmick match.
I mean, the match itself was okay. It's not, I don't think either one of theirs best matches, but it served the purpose. Kind of get the crowd a little something to cheer for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Of course, we had also going back to last night's NXT, Johnny Gargano closing out the match, or not closing out the night with essentially a farewell speech, perhaps.
That is a really great debate on that. Why would there be a shenanigan to the end of his NXT career or WWE career, whatever you may call it? It makes people wonder, and I think that's great. However, when you see the images that got leaked after the show, you know, when you see Gargano's expression just cry, I really think possibly this is it for Johnny Takeover in AEW. Sorry, NXT.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really really a tough call, and it makes you really wonder what's next for Johnny. Me personally, I think he should stick in NXT. I really feel like that would be good for him still, because if he goes to another promotion, doesn't matter which one. What Johnny Impact, like that makes me think of Johnny Mundo or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not feeling that. Johnny Elite doesn't have a good ring to it. It just, much as I don't watch NXT, I love NXT no matter what. So I really think Gargano should stick there. So I like how NXT did it in a way, because it makes you wonder what's really going to happen with Johnny. And if, I know this sounds horrible, and I apologize, but if Candice doesn't get released anytime soon, which I don't think they would, I don't see Johnny leaving. I really don't. I don't see him leaving Candice's hip. I just don't. And I would be very happy with him.
In my opinion, I think he's torn. I don't think he's made a decision yet. I think he wants to make some big money, see if, test the free agent market and see what he can do. Because let's be honest, there hasn't been a big free agency market in wrestling since the early 2000s when TNA first arrived on the scene. And there's been Ring of Honor, but there really hasn't been a big challenger to come to the scene. But now that AEW's here, Impact's on the rise. He may want to test it, but like you said, Candice is in WWE for at least another year, maybe 2 years. He probably doesn't want to leave, doesn't want to work for a competitor. So I think he's kind of torn. Maybe gonna take some time to think about it.
And I think that would be great if Johnny does that. I mean, it would be a great decision if he just, like you said, have time to milk it and think about it, and don't regret your decisions, I guess. You know, so I will support him no matter where he goes. I mean, Johnny's always been one of my favorites, always.
Yeah, so we'll stick around. We'll see what he does. Of course, we'll be talking about when he finally does make his decision, I'm sure. As far as the direction of NXT in general, though, a lot of people are upset. You got a lot of big names leaving, all these new guys coming in. It's going to take time to build up 2.0. Black and Gold NXT wasn't built overnight. They had about 10 years, about a 10-year run, I think it was. They built up a lot of stars, a lot of big names. 2.0 is, they're going to get there. It's going to take more than 2 months that they've been around. I mean, you already see Braun Breaker is going to be a big star. He's embracing his inner Steiner. He comes to the ring doing, the bulldog. Ooh, ooh, ooh. He does one of those when he's coming down to the ring. We've heard the Steiner math brought up in promos, so he knows where he comes from. He knows how to play into that.
Yeah, they really need to change his name for sure. As for the direction of NXT 2.0, I totally agree, Sarah. I think people need to give it time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the original NXT, when that came out, I think before FCW, I was thinking, okay, this really sucks. However, look at Bryan Danielson. Now he's a star beyond belief. But then, like you said, 10 years of establishment with the original NXT, and it bloomed into one of the best television, if not programs out there. I think the only thing that it's going to be very challenging is, you got NXT 2.0, but why the hell are you doing this NIL thing or whatever? I don't know if that's a topic tonight, but let me tell you, I'm already shitting on it. But I mean, there's very strong potential with who NXT 2.0 has currently. I mean, I absolutely am loving right now is Joe Gacy. I think he's great. Absolutely amazing. He's good on the mic. As a wrestler, it's debatable. The Tony guy from Italy or whatever, that's debatable as well, but he's a good talent overall. Braun Breaker, like you mentioned, absolutely they need to bloom him in the right direction, and right now they're doing that. Curious to see if he's going to be Cruiserweight champion next week, though. All right.
Parker Bordeaux makes his debut next week as well.
If they did not change his look, this would be a whole different story.
Yeah.
I mean, he reminds me of Michael Myers, but literally showing his real face and going bald. And it's tough to follow behind that. But
although you put a little bit of like white face powder on him, you might be able to play a good Uncle Fester.
Yes. Nolan, if Vince does some of the controlling with NXT 2.0, I would not be surprised if that happens eventually down the road.
So let's rewind for a second. I was able to pull up a old picture of Cora Jade when she was known as Only in Black. This is her on the Indies, but this is also how she looked when she wrestled for AEW. Let's see if you recognize her.
Don't know.
She had a couple matches. I think it was on Dark. She wrestled Red Velvet. She teamed up with somebody to take on Brandy Rhodes in Red Velvet another time. She only had a handful of matches on Dark, but she's good. She's good for her age, at least, too.
Absolutely agree.
So sticking with WWE for a moment, a lot of old school WWE fans, maybe even some new. There's a rumor floating around, a story talking about who the next person that could take over for Vince once he has retired or whatever. The new rumor is Nick Khan will take over for Vince McMahon one day as chairman.
Okay, so it's not papers, but I'm gonna do a Brody. Um, I absolutely hate this beyond belief. How ironic is it though? Because if this really does happen, two cons running to two popular wrestling companies in the world, that is so ironic, isn't it?
That would
Um,
be.
but the one that I have faith in is really doing the right things. But anyway, um, I really, really hate this decision a lot. And, you know, Nick Khan has no wrestling background whatsoever.
No.
Um, there could be maybe one benefit to this. Maybe, possibly, Triple H could be the guy that would run creative. And, you know, maybe Nick Khan can at least do that. Unfortunately, I don't see it because Nick Khan is somebody that hires somebody from college that doesn't know Bobby Lashley's real name. Uh, I'm just saying. I I think honestly, sir, this rumor is true, and here's why. Scotty 2 Hotty requested his release. Kyle O'Reilly, clearly he's going somewhere else. If Johnny Wrestling goes somewhere else, I think the talent knows this is why they're requesting the releases and wanting to go somewhere else because they know something. And they know, like, we're not going to put our trust in Nick Khan's hands. And honestly, I don't either, and I don't even work for them. I mean, how many have they released since the pandemic? Over 100, and that really starts with Nick Khan. People
Hmm.
blame Johnny Laurinaitis or whatever the hell he is. It's really Nick Khan's doing as well, and this really shows that they're blooming more and more closer to that sale. And it's this is I feel bad for the full blown WWE supporters, and I mean that with kindness for them because they support the company as we all should, you know, because it's wrestling. It's good to support all wrestling,
Hmm.
but if you're gonna support stupidity from Nick Khan, come on, like he's not the answer. We know that. We know Hunter should be the answer, but unfortunately, since he had that surgery for a near cardiac arrest, I don't think Triple H is gonna really take the full reins because of his health.
Hmm.
Too stressful for him.
Maybe we see Triple H start his own promotion one day.
So right off, I'm gonna say this: there's been quite a few people that's caught my attention with that too. Unfortunately, he is the son-in-law, and I don't ever see that happening. If you're the son-in-law, it's kind of like betrayal if you do that behind Vince's back. Um, but would I want Triple H to do that? Oh my gosh, I would so love it. I would love it, and obviously I would support it very heavy. Um, but yeah, just no. And plus, he's the husband of Stephanie too, and
Yeah.
yeah, it just breaking ties with WWE for that would be very interesting.
Hmm.
Um, if that ever came down to that.
We'll see. You never know. You never know.
It is true because I never thought I would see CM Punk for 7 years. So never say never in this business.
So we got one little bit, and this is a rarity, but we do have a little bit of MLW news today. MLW in January will premiere a new show called Azteca. It's going to be the world of Mexican Lucha Libre against MLW stars. Premieres Thursday, January 6th at 8 p.m. Should definitely be a little interesting. See how that works for them.
I think MLW does not get the credit they deserve. I mean, like, you know, I posted something on my other wrestling page. Like, literally, I post all wrestling on that one. Um, and I posted that when they went to Mexico very recently, they sold out a venue of 5,000. I mean, that's great for MLW.
Yes.
Um, so I really like this a lot. I mean, they got the talent, like they really really do, and I'm curious to see how this will go as well. You
I know
know, it's
MLW runs most of the shows up here in the Northeast, primarily in the Philadelphia, New York City area.
yes.
I'm hoping they do the Azteca shows more towards the South. I think that'll bring in better ratings, better seating. So I think that's more the home field for them. But
Oh, I absolutely
see how they do
agree.
that.
'Cause
Hmm.
if they're going to do a mini series, maybe eventually they need to expand. I go to those markets. You get like those big time markets. You never know. I
Yeah,
mean, this is what I meant by supporting all wrestling. If you hate it, if you don't like it, still support it, in my opinion. So, and Gale
Caleb's
says
happy
he's
about it.
happy about it. So that's a plus there. So, um, MLW is, they had one hell of a match with TJP versus Davey Richards
Hmm.
very recently. I believe it was last week, and damn, that was probably a match of the year contender, and that says a lot.
Yeah,
Um, so I
I believe I believe they're getting a somewhat of a network deal, depending next spring. I believe they're supposed to be on Vice. Vice isn't available to everybody across the country, but I mean, that's a step in the right direction for them.
I totally agree, and it's very unfortunate though that Will Ospreay left for his fall touring with MLW. Don't know what the reason for that was, but he said he's going to come to MLW soon. So
Okay.
I don't know. And Ospreay being in there is huge, and plus I'm a huge Alex Hammerstone fan. So
Um, Not much in the way of AEW news today. Tony Khan did release his Christmas week schedule, what he's going to do. He appeared on the Wrestling Podcast with Brandon Walker. Confirmed Wednesday, December 22nd episode of Dynamite will be on TNT from the Greensboro Coliseum from Greensboro, North Carolina. It'll be a special holiday bash edition of the show. That week's Rampage will be taped the night after Dynamite, and we'll also have a holiday bash theme. Rampage that week will air on Saturday night on Christmas instead of Friday. So don't forget to mark your calendars, set your DVRs. He's hoping to make it the Christmas night's episode a kind of an annual thing. I believe he said. So they have huge concept tease. They has huge plans for the holidays in Greensboro, and hoping to make that a yearly tradition because it's a heavy pro wrestling city. So it's kind of like how you see like Chicago gets Thanksgiving week every year now, as what he has said. Greensboro might be the Christmas city every year.
yeah, I did watch that interview yesterday. I really like the fact that I get to celebrate Christmas with watching AEW Rampage, even though it's for 1 hour. Um, I really like the mindset of this man. He also said in the interview that he really wants these last episodes on TNT for Dynamite to be a very big hit. I'm curious to know what he's going to deliver. Um, we all know winter is coming, literally next Wednesday. That's going to be a hell of a show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know what the man has up his sleeve. So, but
Someone's
the
going to
holiday,
debut that episode. I got to think. Someone big is going to debut it. It's just a matter of who it is.
people are going to call me nuts. I still think it's Wyndham because when you see the graphic with Brian Danielson and Hangman Adam Page, they edit the lettering with Hangman like a W, and then when you see, I think it's for the Brian name, they edit it into like a W as well.
Hmm.
It's just this company does so good with hints. It's mind blowing. This is going to be a very, very, very good episode, and you know we're going to see just many great things. And think about it this way too, Sarah. When they did Winter is Coming, I thought that was just going to be the theme of that episode last year. No, we had a world title change that really surprised us in some capacity because that was the first ever world title change on a televised Dynamite. And two,
Mm-hmm.
just imagine if the crowds were there with that epic debut of Sting. I mean, it just, I'm telling you, like, I think it's going to be Wyndham. Maybe, maybe not. If not him, who could it possibly be?
If we had crowds for the big three debuts where there weren't crowds, Brody Lee, Matt Hardy, and Sting, who do you think's got the biggest pop?
Ooh, that's tough.
I mean, all
I
three
don't
were
think, I
probably
don't,
going to be huge.
yeah, I don't think Matt Hardy would be much of a big pop because, he's made his round with almost every promotion out there. Um, if I'm going to be honest, I think Brody would have got the bigger pop. Well, maybe because he would have been out of his hometown.
Yes.
And maybe, just maybe Sting because we all knew Brody could have, like, really was going to debut in his hometown. I wish he had that moment. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I, just thinking about it now, I really think it would have been Sting because I remember that night and I was standing right beside my brother and I was punching him in the shoulder because I was just the adrenaline was pumping in my veins. It was totally awesome because it was so out of nowhere. Um, it just it was such a cool moment. So I think Sting, just because again how unexpected it was.
I agree. I think it's Sting, but I'm going to say not by much.
Exactly. No, very paper thin.
Mm-hmm. Let me take a look, see if I had anything else lined up. Oh yeah, so we had the unfortunate Jeff Hardy incident over the weekend as well. Um, kind of stumbling his way through the match, then being sent home by management. Very unfortunate. Matt Hardy comes on Twitch though, says he's okay. What do you make of all this?
It's tough to tell. People are speculating and it's an injury or whatever. If it was really an injury, the referee would have done the X or something. Um, so I don't think it's that. Um,
I know a lot of
I'm
people said
for
it was drugs or alcohol. When you go back and compare his famous match, um, was that with Sting, the one where he showed up drunk in a match?
Victory Road 2010 or
Yeah,
2011. Yeah.
the stumbling and the falling over, it's completely different. So I don't really think it was drugs or alcohol. My gut instinct tells me this is something storyline wise because he talked a couple weeks ago about doing a character change. So
Oh.
So my thought is it's either going to be Willow, which people have been dying for, and he wanted to bring that back, um, or it could be a reincarnation of Brother Nero, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's more Willow than anything.
If it's for a storyline purpose, it would be kind of interesting because why would he leave the match like that?
Hmm.
But then again, maybe it really makes you guess. Um,
I mean, I did see a tweet. I couldn't find it later on. I went back for it. Someone said that he came back and took pictures with people. So that's the other kind of reason I think maybe it's storyline wise. I don't think it's anything bad as far as like drugs or alcohol.
I really hope not. In what
Yeah.
I like to call Twitter land, where people like to stir up the pot with drama. Um,
Hmm.
I I don't know if it's that per se. Hopefully not. I really, really hope not. If it is, very unfortunate, but I don't know. It's going to be very curious to know what's going to happen with Jeff.
Mm-hmm. The last bit of news, Jade Cargill has brought it up on both Twitter and Instagram, saying that she's going to be deleting her Twitter account. As of now, it's still up. Initial thought is, oh no, she must have got hit by the trolls for something. Nope, she just said that she's on social media too much and decided that she was going to delete one of her accounts, and Twitter lost the battle, I guess. So she'll still be on Instagram, but supposedly soon she'll be deleting her Twitter.
Yeah, I read that as well. If it's for the reason why she deleted it, I really hope it's not bad.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't take things seriously. It should be very interesting what's going to happen with Jade in this as well. And to me, it's kind of unfortunate timing because she's on the cusp of going to the finals for the TBS title.
Mm-hmm.
So now people are just going to think of her differently, perhaps. I mean, I don't. I think Jade is a good talent. She's green in some things, but to me, she's growing into a really, really good star.
I mean, she hasn't been around that long. I mean, she's getting better. She'll get there eventually at some point.
She will. I'm still expecting her to win the TBS title just because I really think Thunder and Rosa and Britt Baker needs to have their rematch this time for the title. So I think I'm still pissed that Statlander lost because no offense, Ruby, you've been here for a short time and you advance, but whatever. But yeah, it's gonna. I just hope she doesn't get the negative feedback if she does reactivate her Twitter.
Yeah, we shall see. That will do it for us here tonight. Cut off a little early, give everybody a chance to get drinks, get settled, do whatever you gotta do before Dynamite starts in 20 minutes, at least for us here on the East Coast. Check out Gary's page, AWRU Elite, on Facebook. He's back up, getting things together. Of course, check us on all our socials. We are running Twitch watch-alongs now. We just did one for War Games. Expect more in the future. We'll probably do another one or two before the end of the year, hopefully. We do have our Blasties award show. They'll be coming up probably last week of December. Fan vote is on. Check our Facebook page or Twitter. So you get the fan vote in. Make your voices heard. There's some interesting winners that are in the lead right now. Other than that, have a good night, everyone.
Take care, gang.